fox and the grapes. One day, a fox became very hungry as he went to search for some food. He searched high and low, but couldn't find something that he could eat. Finally, as his stomach rumbled, he stumbled upon a farmer's wall. At the top of the wall, he saw the biggest, juiciest grapes he'd ever seen. They had a rich, purple color, telling the fox they were ready to be eaten. To reach the grapes, the fox had to jump high in the air. As he jumped, he opened his mouth to catch the grapes, but he missed. The fox tried again, but missed yet again. He tried a few more times, but kept failing. Finally, the fox decided it was time to give up and go home. While he walked away, he muttered, "I'm sure the grapes were sour anyway." The Lion and the Mouse. A lion was asleep in the sun one day. A little mouse came out to play. The little mouse ran up the lion's neck and slid down his back. The lion caught him with a great big smack. "I'm going to eat you," the lion roared, his mouth open wide. "No, no, please don't," the little mouse cried. "Be kind to me, and one day I'll help you. I'm a lion. You're a mouse. What can you do?" The lion laughed very hard, and the mouse ran away. But the mouse was out walking the very next day. He heard a big roar and squeaked when he saw the king of the jungle tied to a tree. But the mouse had a plan to set him free. The mouse worked quickly and chewed through the rope. The lion said, "Oh, little mouse, I had no hope." "You were right, little mouse, thank you, I'm free. You're the best friend there ever could be." A nice young man. An old lady opens her window and looks out of it. The sun shines brightly. There is a young man in the garden in front of her house. The old lady looks at him and says, "He is cutting grass for me." She goes out into the garden and says to the young man, "Why are you cutting grass for me, young man?" The young man says, "Today's my holiday. You are old and live alone. I want to do something for you." "It's so kind of you, my boy," says the old lady. "Come into my house and have a cup of tea." "Okay," answers the young man, "but I must finish the work first." When the old lady goes out into the garden an hour later, the young man is not there. The garden looks clean and tidy. "What a nice young man," says the old lady. The Two Frogs. A group of frogs were traveling through the woods, and two of them fell into a deep pit. When the other frogs saw how deep the pit was, they told the two frogs that they were as good as dead. The two frogs ignored the comments and tried to jump up out of the pit with all of their might. The other frogs kept telling them to stop, that they were as good as dead. Finally, one of the frogs took heed to what the other frogs were saying and gave up. He fell down and died. The other frog continued to jump as hard as he could. Once again, the crowd of frogs yelled at him to stop the pain and just die. He jumped even harder and finally made it out. When he got out, the other frog said, "Did you not hear us?" The frog explained to them that he was deaf. He thought they were encouraging him the entire time. The lucky seed. A long time ago, a farmer took a big bag of seeds to sell at the market. Suddenly, his cart's wheels hit a big stone. Bump! One of the seeds fell out of the bag and onto the hot, dry ground. "I'm scared," said the seed. "I need to be safe under the soil." Just then, a buffalo walked on the seed and pushed it into the ground. "I'm thirsty," said the seed. "I need some water to help me grow." Just then, it started to rain. The next morning, the seed had a little green shoot. All day it sat in the sun and grew taller and taller. The next day it had its first leaf. This helped it to catch sunlight and grow. That evening a hungry bird tried to eat it, but the seed had roots to help it stay in the ground. Many years of sunshine and rain passed. The seed became a plant, and then the plant became a tree. Today, if you visit the countryside, you can see the tree. It is big and strong and now makes seeds of its own. The sun and the wind. The wind and the sun are having a disagreement. "I am the most powerful," says the wind. "No, I am the most powerful," says the sun. "I can blow trees to the ground," brags the wind. "I can push ships across the ocean. I can make hurricanes and tornadoes." "Is that right?" replies the sun. "Well, I can melt all the snow on the mountains. I can dry up an entire lake. I can make a sidewalk so hot that it cooks an egg." Just then, they see a man walking along the road in his winter jacket. "Let's have a contest to see who is more powerful," says the wind. "Whoever can remove the man's jacket first wins." The sun agrees. The wind goes first. He blows a gust of cold wind at the man. The man shivers and zips up his jacket. Brrr! What a cold and windy day. It starts to rain. The wind blows even harder and turns the rain into snow. "Well, look at that. It's snowing," says the man. Snow wasn't in the weather forecast today. He pulls his hood over his head. The wind blows his strongest gust towards the man, but the man's jacket stays on. It's a bit fresh today," he says. "A winter storm must be coming." He zips the jacket higher to cover his nose. "God, this is impossible," says the wind. He stops blowing. "My turn," says the sun. First the sun shines enough to stop the snow. The man unzips his hood. Then the sun pulls the clouds apart and gently shines down on the man. Suddenly, it is a beautiful spring day. "Wow! The weather sure is strange around here," says the man. He unzips his jacket. The sun gently wiggles her fingers and increases the temperature. "What strange weather. Now it feels like summer," the man says as he begins to sweat. "Goodness me, it's so hot." He removes his winter jacket. He lies down on the grass for a nap in the warm sun. "I win," says the sun, beaming. The Owl and the Grasshopper. The owl always takes her sleep during the day. Then after sundown, When the rosy light fades from the sky and the shadows rise slowly through the wood, out she comes ruffling and blinking from the old hollow tree. Now her weird hoo-hoo-hoo echoes through the quiet wood, and she begins her hunt for the bugs and beetles, frogs and mice she likes so well to eat. Now there was a certain old owl who had become very cross and hard to please as she grew older, especially if anything disturbed her daily slumbers. One warm summer afternoon, as she dozed away in her den in the old oak tree, a grasshopper nearby began a joyous but very raspy song. Out popped the old owl's head from the opening in the tree that served her both for door and for window. "Get away from here, sir," she said to the grasshopper. "Have you no manners? You should at least respect my age and leave me to sleep in quiet." But the grasshopper answered saucily that he had as much right to his place in the sun as the owl had to her place in the old oak. Then he struck up a louder and still more rasping tune. The wise old owl knew quite well that it would do no good to argue with the grasshopper, nor with anybody else for that matter. Besides, her eyes were not sharp enough by day to permit her to punish the grasshopper as he deserved. So she laid aside all hard words and spoke very kindly to him. "Well, sir," she said, "if I must stay awake, I am going to settle right down to enjoy your singing. Now that I think of it, I have a wonderful wine here, sent me from Olympus, of which I am told Apollo drinks before he sings to the high gods. Please come up and taste this delicious drink with me. I know it will make you sing like Apollo himself." The foolish grasshopper was taken in by the owl's flattering words. Up he jumped to the owl's den, but as soon as he was near enough so the old owl could see him clearly, she pounced upon him and ate him up. Flattery is not a proof of true admiration. Do not let flattery throw you off your guard against an enemy. The Wolf and the Lamb. On a day, a lamb was eating sweet grass away from her flock of sheep. She didn't notice a wolf walking nearer to her. When she saw the wolf, she started pleading, "Please, don't eat me. My stomach is full of grass. You can wait a while to make my meat taste much better. The grass in my stomach will be digested quickly if you let me dance." The wolf agreed. While the lamb was dancing, she had a new idea. She said, "I can dance faster if you take my bell and ring it so hard." The wolf took the bell and started to ring so hard. The shepherd heard the sound and ran quickly to save the lamb's life.